Welcome to Lesson 3, the Credit Calendar. Our objectives today are to use a credit calendar to track average daily balance and to verify accuracy of average daily balance and finance charges on a given credit card statement. In the previous lesson, you had some practice calculating the average daily balance. In this lesson, you will look at purchases and payments on a credit card statement and use a credit card statement calendar in order to help you determine the average daily balance. Let's look at an example. Here's an example for Elena K. She has a credit card statement here that lists a purchase of $67 to Home Depot, another purchase of $55 to Bubble Wrap, and a payment of $160. Our goal is then to determine her average daily balance. In order to do that, we should follow these 6 steps, which you should write down in your notes. The first step is to draw a grid with 7 boxes across and 5 down. This grid right here represents a calendar. It's 7 boxes across because there's 7 days in a week, and then we did 5 down to try to capture every day of the month. First thing we want to do is find the number of days in the billing cycle. Well, right here we can see that there are 31 days in the billing cycle. So we have found that. Now we want to enter the billing date in the bottom corner and number back until the calendar is filled in. Well, there's only 31 days in the billing cycle, and I have 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 days here. So I won't need this date, or this date, or this date, or this date. So 35, 34, 33, 32. This would be then 31 days from the top down to here. So these squares I can gray out or X out to know that I won't be needing them. And we are told to enter the billing date in the bottom corner and then to number back until the calendar is filled in. So now I have a bottom corner. So what I can do is I can enter in November, and my billing date is right here, November 13th. Then what I would do is go backwards until I've gotten to the first one. So November 13th, the next one would be 12, and then 11, and so on. Notice as I go backwards, I'm now into the month of October. So I'd want to write October in there so I could keep track, and then I would continue to number backwards. Okay, now that I've filled in my calendar with all the dates, I'll notice that, as I said before, I'm back here at November, but then we cross into October, and that's just the way the billing cycle runs with this particular credit card. So let's move ahead to step 4. Fill in the debits and credits, adding and subtracting as you go in the appropriate days. Well, that then means that I need to put in a beginning balance. So right here, my previous balance is $829.30, which is what I will write in my first square, $829.30. Now the goal is to have a number in every single square all the way down because I have a balance in each of these days. So what I'm going to do is continue to write $829.30 in the rest of the squares until I get to October 25th. October 25th, which is here, I made a purchase, so that amount will change. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to write these numbers in my squares. Okay, now I've finished. I have written $829.30 in each of these days up until the 25th, because then on the 25th, I can see that I have a purchase of $67. So I will need to increase my balance $67. So I need to come up with a new balance. My new balance would then be $896.30. And that's what I will continue to write in here until I get to the 29th, right here, on which I have another purchase. So I am going to write $896.30 in each of these squares until I get to the 29th. All right, now let's see what happens on the 29th. It looks like on the 29th I have another purchase of $55. So I would need to increase my balance by another $55 before I continue to write. Adding that to my previous balance, I have a new balance now of $951.30, which I will start to write in my cells here until I get to my next transaction. And my next transaction on November 5th is a payment of $160. So I just need to be careful when I get to November 5th that I change my balance again. Okay, now I'm down to the 5th, and I know that my balance changes again. I made a payment of $160. So instead of $951, I'm going to need to subtract $160 from the $951. And that'll give me a new balance of $791.30. And it looks like I don't have any other transactions, so I will continue to write $791.30 in each of these squares until I get to the end of the billing cycle. Okay, now I'm finished. And I should have 31 days because it's a 31-day billing cycle all filled in. Now, step 5, all I have to do is find and compare the average daily balance to the average daily balance here on the credit card statement. And if you notice here on the credit card statement, they're saying it's $854.46. Let's see if we get that. So one way I can do this is just to take each day and add up to 31 entries over and over. Or I could multiply however many days I have at 829 times 829 and however many days I have at 896 times 896 and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and add these up in my calculator right now. Now I'm finished finding the totals. What I've done is I went ahead and used the same strategy that you used last time, and I took $829.30 and I multiplied it by 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. Then I took the $896.30 and multiplied that by 4 days, and like we were just talking, so on and so forth. These are my totals for each of the different daily balances. When I summed them, I got 26,488.3. Now remember, we have 31 days in the billing cycle. So when I'm using my math skills, I have to remember that finding the average, I would not divide by 30, but I would divide by 31 since we have 31 days. So let's divide by 31 and see what I get. I get $854 and approximately 46 cents. Okay, let's compare the average daily balance. That's the next step. Find and compare average daily balance. Well, we found the average daily balance. Let's compare. 854.46 compared to 854.46. We are right on. Now let's find and compare the finance charge. If we look up here on our calendar, you can see that the finance charge, the monthly periodic rate, is 1.415, which is what we would multiply the 854.46 by. Remember that when you're multiplying, you want to make sure to multiply by the decimal equivalent. If we move the decimal 2 places to the left, we get 0.01415. And that's what we will multiply in order to verify the finance charge on this statement. So let's multiply 0.01415 and see what we get. We get $12 and approximately 9 cents. If I look at my statement up here, our finance charge says $12.09. So I have verified that my credit card is correct, and I have done some practice calculating average daily balance as well as finance charge. That concludes our lesson on the credit calendar. It's just another way to help you track and find your average daily balance, as well as to verify that your credit card statement is calculating it correctly. One other important point to point out before we go is that a benefit of a credit card calendar is that way you can look and you can see what your balance was throughout the billing cycle, and it can help you to make decisions about when to make purchases. Maybe if you want to lower your finance charges, you can wait until near the end of your billing cycle to make a purchase instead of near the beginning, like this one up here at the Home Depot or the House Depot.